Welcome to this year's Be the Change fundraising breakfast. My name is Sarah Lococo, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for Lutheran Child and Family Services of Illinois. We're all so thankful you are able to join us this morning for an inspirational hour of individuals building hope together with LCFS. Before I turn the program over to our panel of speakers, I just wanted to review a few helpful tips. First, be sure the volume on your computer or device is turned up so that you'll be able to hear all of our speakers this morning. For the giving portion of the morning's event, we will be utilizing the website www.buildinghope.givesmart.com. As you can see the address on your screen. You'll be receiving an email from LCFS towards the end of the event with a direct link to the site to use after our event is over. For those who provided a cell phone number during registration, you should also receive a text message with a link to the page. Also, you can find the web address in the chat box on your screen in a moment. Donations can be made at any time, but we will have somebody walk you through the form and levels later on. So we encourage you to wait till the end. If at that time you have trouble making your gift, there will be technical support available. Just text 312-823-6507 as shown on the screen, or send an email to marilyn_rogers@lcfs.org. That information will also be posted in our chat box. So I'd like to thank our sponsors for this morning's event, First Midwest Bank and Hilco Global, and Access One for their generous support of today's event. Now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Tamila.
Good morning. I hope you have a cup of coffee or tea in front of you as I do. Whew, thank God. And I hope everyone's holding up during these rough times. But I just want to invite you to be a part of something so very special this morning. And thank you for joining us so we can build hope together. It's more important now than ever that we have the at-risk families that are served by Lutheran Child and Family Services of Illinois need to build hope together. I'm Tam Little Alexander. Many of you know me because I speak at LCFS. See the Change tours. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm a former client and forever supporter of LCFS. First, I would also like to thank your board members, table captains, Circle of Hope members, and those of you who have attended our See the Change tours. LCFS helped me build hope at a time when I was pretty hopeless. And now it's my honor to use my voice to build hope together with you. 23 years ago, I was a young mother residing in Chicago's Henry Horner Homes, also affectionately known as the Projects. I was battered, I was broken, and I had no self-esteem. I was addicted to heroin and cocaine. Due to my addiction, my 5 children were removed from my custody. This was an extremely difficult time for me. But I decided it was a time to change, and I went on the methadone maintenance treatment program. At that time, I also got pregnant with my 6th child. Yes, a mother of 6. Don't thank me, I know I look good for my age, thank you. That's my joke for this morning, okay. While I was doing much better, I knew there was time to deliver my baby, and I became really fearful that DCFS would come in and take custody of that baby too. But instead, an LCFS caseworker from the Intact Family Recovery Program came through the door that day. She believed in me, and I so badly needed someone to believe in me so I could start believing in myself too. She offered a path to keeping my baby and reuniting me with my family. I entered the substance abuse program that helped me get and stay clean. Through a lot of hard work and many days at court, I regained custody of my kids. And I'll never forget the first Christmas after my kids came home. Of course, it was a joyful reunion, and it's a lot of them, all 6 of them. And thanks to people like you who donated to LCFS, I was able to provide toys and clothing and good food. And it was really necessary while I was trying to get back on my feet. Over time, with assistance and encouragement from LCFS caseworkers, I moved out of the projects, went back to school, earned my bachelor and master's degree, and got a job in social services. Today, I even own my own home. I'm sitting in my dining room area, just so blessed, so very blessed, after being on the Section 8 program for 21 years. I now work with women similar to a situation I was in myself, and I'm able to show what is possible. What is possible? I've now worked for 20 years in the maternal and child health field, and I use my past experience as fuel for the work I do with women today. I often see myself in these women, and I hear those LCFS caseworkers. I hear it in how I relay my voice and my messages to people who are on their own paths to stability and happiness. All those years ago, I could have never envisioned my life as it is today and the impact my story would have on others. Hope is everything to people in turmoil, and the turmoil our country is facing today, on top of all the incredible things that our families that are served are going through, are truly heartbreaking scenarios, and a huge growth rate of families in crisis right now in Illinois. This is not an easy time for anyone, but if you can, I hope you will give today, and let's build hope together in a time when hope is so very needed. This morning, you'll hear from other people LCFS has served, whether this is your introduction to the agency or you've been in partnership with us for over 50 years. I hope you will leave feeling more inspired and connected to the LCFS mission and to each other. Now, it is my pleasure to turn the morning's program over to our leader, LCFS President and CEO, Mike Bertrand.
Thank you, Tamla, for sharing your story with us. Also, thank you to everyone who is taking the time to be with us this morning for our virtual Be the Change breakfast. I'm Mike Bertrand, President and CEO of Lutheran Child and Family Services of Illinois. Let me begin by saying that I sincerely hope all of you and your families are staying safe during this unparalleled time. The COVID-19 pandemic is impacting everyone, and together we must learn to navigate this new reality and find ways to support each other as a community. When I started college, my planned career path was to go into private clinical practice. After completing my bachelor's degree, I wasn't sure where I wanted to go to graduate school, so I got a job working at the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. I can honestly say that job changed the trajectory of my career. I'd grown up pretty sheltered, and my time at DCFS opened my eyes to the enormous struggles families face when they have no one to support them. Parents were fighting to do the best they could for their children, but were faced with too many obstacles to overcome. I saw that with a little assistance, these same families could move beyond the challenges put in front of them and to turn their lives around for themselves and their children. It was then that I made the decision to pursue a career in social work and dedicate my life to helping children and families achieve their full potential. Now more than ever, it's so important to provide and support a support system and a hands up to others in need. Together we can build hope, make a difference, and be the change we wish to see in the world. At LCFS, our calling is to serve in response to God's love, which knows no bounds. Every day, our staff, foster parents, and supporters see children and families in need, and we work to provide help and compassion. LCFS improves the well-being of people across the state by protecting children, strengthening families, and building futures for those who have experienced trauma. This past year, I'm so proud of what our staff around the state were able to accomplish. We continue to grow our foster care program, protecting and nurturing nearly 2,250 children a year. LCFS supports foster parents in helping children feel cared for and safe, while also partnering with birth families to prepare them to regain custody of their children. LCFS also strengthened nearly 300 struggling families through our preventative services, including intact family recovery. These important programs allow us to keep children with their families and prevent the additional trauma of being removed from their homes, because no one can do it alone. Finally, LCFS help build stronger futures and achieve racial equity for children of color in our foster care program. Children and families of color are overrepresented in the child welfare system, stay in foster care longer, and are less likely to find a forever family. This past year, LCFS made a commitment to do better by children of color in our care, and ultimately, we were able to decrease the number of days in care and unify more youth with their family. Thank you to all of our Circle of Hope donors and other supporters for your support during this past year. It is with your help that these successes were made possible. Even though I'm proud of the work we are doing, I know there is much more to be done. During these uncertain times, the needs of children and families we serve are increasing. In Illinois, on average, 125,000 children are abused and neglected each year. LCFS believes one child is far too many. It's my vision that Lutheran Child and Family Services will be a leader within Illinois on providing more preventative and family-focused programs that avoid removal and keep children and families together through vital supports such as counseling, rehabilitation, parenting classes, and linkages to community-based services. LCFS is committed to protecting all children we serve and helping each of them to have a forever family. I'm thrilled that we've been able to move the needle this past year on improving positive outcomes for children of color. But in order to bring about real change, LCFS needs to be a leader in working with DCFS and other child welfare organizations to dismantle institutional racism and address implicit biases that contribute to inequality for children of color. Because if nothing is done within the larger system, youth of color will continue to stay in foster care longer, and fewer of them will have loving forever families. In addition, we want to expand our intact family services through the state, which keep children safely with their parents while we strengthen the whole family. In order to expand our intact family programs and keep children out of foster care, LCFS needs to hire and train additional staff on providing in-home services. Finally, LCFS wants to help build more positive futures for youth who have made some wrong choices and got in trouble with the law. To accomplish this, we want to expand our award-winning Regenerations program to provide youth who have been involved in the justice system and their families with the assistance and services they need earlier and without bringing them into foster care. Our desire is to meet youth and their families where they are and provide them the tools to live safe and meaningful lives. I invite each of you to join me today in asking, what more can I do to help build hope for others? Because it takes all of us together to make change. So I hope that you will be inspired to be the change and help children and families access the services they need to reach their full potential. Now I would like you to hear from the people we serve, how LCFS partnered with each of them so they could change their worlds. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Gray, and I'm here to tell you about how LCFS Extended Family Support Program helped me and my great-nephew, Jaden. After 36 years as a Chicago school teacher and principal, I was finally able to retire. I was looking forward to traveling and doing whatever I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. But at 65 years old, God had another plan for my life. Sadly, my nephew took his own life, and he left behind 3 children. Due to financial hardship, their mother was unable to provide care for them and reached out to me for help. I said yes. At first, I had all 3 children, but as time went on, I knew they needed a permanent long-term plan. My nephew took the 2 older children, and with the support of my daughter and granddaughter, I took the youngest, 18-month-old Jaden. When he first came to me, he was not speaking or eating and was still on a bottle. He was eventually diagnosed with a speech deficit and a developmental growth problem. I had no idea where to begin in formalizing my care of Jaden. I contacted a lawyer for advice, but it was very technical and impersonal. I was slightly overwhelmed and just needed someone to take the time to give some caring advice and guidance. I was grateful when I found LCFS Extended Family Support Program. Sydney, an LCFS employee, became our caseworker, but more than that, he offered me the compassionate care and helping hand I needed. Sydney came out to meet us and review our home to ensure it met the requirements. He told me from start to finish what it would take to gain formal guardianship of Jaden. He visited with us multiple times before court, handled all of the paperwork, and gave me his number to call at any time with questions. Essentially, he reassured me, stood by my side, and walked with me through every step of the process. Later, when Jaden's paternity came into question, family and friends questioned whether or not I should continue pursuing guardianship. I talked with Sydney during this time, and he always had time to listen. I told him that regardless of blood, God brought Jaden into my life. I decided not to have a paternity test and continued to pursue custody. Sydney was supportive, saying, if you want to do it, it really doesn't matter. You have to do what's in your head and heart. The day I went to court for guardianship, Sydney was right by my side, and he continued to be there for Jaden and me after I received custody. Today, I'm happy to share that Jaden is a busy 4-year-old boy. He visits with his mom and siblings. Each week he goes to Christian education, Sunday school, drum lessons, and tumbling. Last year he said maybe 2 or 3 words, and now he won't stop talking. He soaks up everything. He can tell you stories from the Bible and loves when I read to him. When I was at a loss and didn't know what direction to turn, LCFS was there. Together with God, LCFS, and my wonderful family, we are building hope for Jaden and his future. Now, he has every opportunity to be successful and reach his potential. Thank you.
My name is Tamika Hatchet, and I am a child welfare supervisor in the Decatur office for Lutheran Child and Family Services. Today, I was asked to represent the more than 350 essential LCFS employees who continue to serve children and families across the state and what that practice looks like from the front lines during the coronavirus. But first, I'd like to tell you about my why I do this work and why it matters to me. In the 2nd grade, my siblings and I were removed from my mother's care and entered into the child welfare system due to her drug use. We were lucky enough to be placed in the homes of relatives. Our caseworker was not supportive of my mother. She didn't believe that she could overcome her addiction, and she never offered her any real support. Even worse, she spoke negatively about my mom in front of my siblings and me. Instead of building hope, she was crushing it. I'll never forget the day my caseworker referred to my mother as a crackhead and said that she was never going to change. Back then in the 90s, crackhead was one of the worst insults that you can use. It's what children said to each other on the playground to hurt one another. I remember feeling angry, sad, hurt, and forgotten. Here was this professional that was supposed to help me and my family. Also, as a child, I started questioning my mom and wondering if she really loved us. I thought if she loved us, wouldn't she change? When I saw children who were experiencing the same thing that I had so many years ago, children who were in the system who felt angry, sad, forgotten, and alone due to the insensitivity of the caseworkers who were caring for them, I decided to pursue my master's degree in social work. Years later, my mom conquered her battle with addiction and said, "Tamika, I am so very proud of you. I am so happy that you are doing this. I wish I would have had caseworkers like you, caseworkers that build hope instead of beat you down." While I can't save the world, I figured I can save my little corner of the world. Today, I am passionate about reunification and treating birth parents with dignity and respect. I know that words matter and that families need compassionate, caring services that help them to heal and strengthen. In my role, I am able to model these values and see them grow in those I supervise. I am proud that LCFS champions reunifying families safely by building trusting relationships, asking parents what they need to succeed, and partnering with them as they develop service plans, taking parenting classes, or go through counseling. So that's my why. I want to reunify families. I want parents to feel our support and for them to know that we are doing everything we can in order to help them hopefully reunite with their children. And while that is not always the reality, these families still deserve to be treated fairly with compassion, dignity, and respect. The coronavirus has stressed an already stressful and traumatic child welfare system. Before the pandemic hit, LCFS and the industry as a whole were facing a shortage of foster parents as well as social workers. Today, the children and families we serve have the added stress and pressure of trying to make ends meet as they work to reunite. Weekly, we learn of foster parents who are trying to care for their own children and their foster children despite their salaries being cut, or they may not be working at all. Still, others are having childcare issues due to being considered essential workers, yet schools have closed. Foster parents' children who look forward to routinely seeing their parents weekly are acting out due to not being able to see them due to social distancing. In some cases, these negative behaviors have resulted in the need for a new placement at a time when there is a shortage of foster homes. And some of our foster children are not able to connect to virtual school learning due to not having a laptop. As caseworkers, we try to help families with whatever they need. We go to food pantries ourselves to pick up food for the foster families, and we provide information for available resources. But there is only so much that we can do on our own. We appreciate the difference that you make through your support of the mission. We appreciate you stepping up to be the change and build hope for these children and the families that we serve. Thank you.
My name's Savarius. I was in and out that detention center 2 years straight. Waking up every day in the cell, doing what the gods tell you. That's how my life was. My mama, you feel me, she always motivated me to do right, but I still end up doing wrong by myself, so.
Even though he was, making bad decisions, we could never get to him, because of the neighborhood he was in.
I mean, she always gonna be there no matter what, you feel me? Cause it's your mama. At the end of the day, who gonna be there? Your mama. Like she always told me when I was getting locked up, your friend's not gonna be here for you. Who coming to your court dates for you? Me, I'm coming home. I gotta go through all this for you. I'm missing work for you. So at the end of the day, my mama gonna be there. I know that's for a fact. I know she'd rather have me in DCFS than back over there where she was living at the time.
A program like Regenerations really help give these youth a second chance. The sky's the limit. They can be what they want to be. They can see people like them doing great things.
LCFS got me out of jail. Appreciate them for that.
One day, my sister had asked me, like him going through his little trials and tribulations, would it be okay if he come live with you? So it was like, okay, that's fine. He can come, come stay with us.
As a young black man in America, being placed with his uncle and having that person that has been through some of the things that he's been through, has overcome and has decided to, change his life around. Shavarius can see this and he can learn from this and he can use those tools and that advice and build a relationship with someone who has been where he's been and who has decided to change that around.
My uncle, he came in and was like, basically took, when my mama couldn't finish, he finished in for us. See, my uncle, you feel me, he'll come to me and tell me like, what's wrong, what I'm doing wrong, if I'm doing something wrong.
When I was growing up, wasn't no LCFS, you know what I mean? I had to learn from hard knocks.
He has this great family support, but he also has LCFS who's willing to give him and his family the tools needed for him to really live a life that he can live. Like he said, he wants to go to college, he wants to do these different things, and the sky's the limit. He can do all of it. I just see someone that's determined, that says, I know what I've done, but I'm not my past.
LCFS has supported Shavarius in many ways, just giving him opportunities to do different things, school, basketball, support, just always checking up on him, make sure he goes down the right path, just being a great support system for him, you know what I mean? Me too, because if there's a question I need to ask, I call one of them and they'll tell me what to do.
I mean, every time somebody see me from LCFS, they know my name. A whole nother family right there. When you're away from your real family, they keep you the same way your family keep you out of trouble. They doing the same thing for you. Make you go harder, make you work harder. Develop your game, bring your game up.
I want to say thank you to all the people that helped him, that came into his life. The whole LCFS family, It's like a second win, It's like a rebirth, just a fresh start for him,
I made some bad decisions on my end, but I learned from them. As long as I take a step forward and don't go backwards, that's my hope. Thank you, LCFS. They was always on top of me. Make sure I was on top of my game, doing what I gotta do.
We knew we wanted to have a bigger family. We had our 2 daughters, biological daughters already. Unfortunately, we had 2 miscarriages after Isabel was born. And so after the second one, we felt like we were being led to adopt. We felt like adding to our family with adoption through foster care gave us an opportunity to not only provide a child with a home that needed one, also expand our family. We picked LCFS, had the home study done. Susan was a great support to us. She was very educational, helping us learn about the process, helping us really look at our family and what was realistic for us at that time.
I don't know if there's something that we're not thankful for during this process with LCFS.
We were presented with Mark's file, and we knew he was young, and we knew he had a substantial medical history. He was already facing known hydrocephalus, which is just extra fluid around the brain, and he had already had a shunt placed to drain that. He was already known to be somewhat developmentally delayed by the time we saw his file and came into the picture. He was probably already suspected to have low vision at that time. Mark's biological family just was not going to be able to meet his needs, medically speaking.
Nothing seemed scary to us in any way. If this was God's plan, then this was God's plan.
Mark's social worker called Susan and basically just said, when can you come meet him?
We flew down to Houston to meet him. Our hearts melted when he looked at us and he just smiled.
The social worker comes and they handed us a big duffel bag and said, see you in 3 days. Now that we had spent 3 days with Mark, we had a choice to say, were we in or were we out, essentially was the question. And we were in. Throughout the whole process, LCFS supported us in multiple ways. They really helped us know what resources were available for Mark, from when Mark came home to the official placement all the way through to the adoption. He called me mommy not that long ago for the very first time. I waited 7 years for it. You know, he was almost a year when he came home to us, and so when he started saying it, it got me for sure. I'd like to say thank you to LCFS for just being our support. Our life has transformed for the better just because we didn't know what we were missing out by not having him.
He's grown so much, and so that's, the hope that he's just going to continue growing more is maybe he wouldn't have been able to do that without us, and maybe we wouldn't have got to the point where we are now without him. I think we're building each other up, as a family.
Our hope is just that he feels confident and loved to try anything he wants to.
We want for him what we want for all our children. We want them to be happy, successful, adults.
I'm Pastor Bill Geis, chair of LCFS's Board of Trustees. Those were all inspiring stories of strength and perseverance. They remind us that with God, all things are possible. My wife and I have always felt strongly about serving children in need. While I was the pastor of a church outside of Chicago, I connected with the mission of LCFS and was struck by the huge need for loving foster parents. I became passionate about raising awareness among congregations regarding the importance of supporting children in foster care through both our time and our resources. Today, that need is bigger than ever before. By partnering with LCFS, we can build hope together and have a greater impact to create change for children and families. Thank you for joining with us this morning to hear how LCFS partners with children and families to change their lives for the better. I trust you share my sense of importance of this work and the need LCFS has to sustain its mission into the future, to ensure that these compassionate, life-changing services are around for all who need them. That's why we're here today, to ensure that LCFS is around for years to come, helping children and families when they stumble under life's challenges. Today, my job is to ask for your partnership and your investment in this critical work of LCFS. Your financial support will not go toward a special new building. It will fuel the agency's ongoing work during these unprecedented times. That kind of funding is by far the hardest to come by. But we're inviting you to join us today. Join our Circle of Hope Society by making a 5-year pledge of support or extending your current commitment. To further inspire you, it is my great honor to announce today $50,000 in special leadership gifts. A gift of $25,000 from David and Christine Hart, and also a gift of $25,000 from Paul and Jan Schragi. Thank you so much for your generosity. These gifts are huge for us, and I hope they will inspire all of us to give generously. Sarah is now going to share our screen, and I'd like to take you through our donation website for today's event. As we walk through the different elements of the giving page. You will receive an email from LCFS shortly after this with a direct link to the site to use and connect with your donations. Also, if you provided a cell phone number when you registered, you will be able to receive a text message with that link as well. Once the event concludes, just visit the website, www.buildinghope.givesmart.com to make your donation. Let me quickly walk you through this. To make a multi-year pledge this morning, you will click on the pledge button at the top of the donation webpage. This will open a form which you can use to indicate your desired pledge commitment. For those of you who have already made a pledge or are a member of our Circle of Hope Society, we've made a special section for you in the middle of the pledge form should you want to extend or increase your pledge. Now at the top, the Be the Change level names are meant to help you give a sense of what your contribution can do. Your contribution will go toward the unrestricted operating funds of LCFS. The first giving level is called Protect. It represents a pledge of $1,000 each year for 5 years, which is about $83 per month. Your gift will help meet the immediate needs and growing needs of children and families we serve as a result of the pandemic. LCFS's Child Welfare Supervisor, Tamika, gave us a glimpse of those challenges currently facing LCFS's staff and families. These challenges include struggling to meet vital needs such as food, insurance coverage, car payments, and rent. The second level, our Strengthen level, is a pledge of $10,000 a year for 5 years. At this level, you can help us grow our preventative services, including the Extended Family Support Program. With your support, LCFS can provide more needed services to families so that children are safe and don't have to enter the foster care system. Families like Sandra and her great nephew, Jaden. The last level, Build, is a pledge of $25,000 a year for 5 years. At that level, your gift will help expand LCFS's innovative regenerations program so that youth like Savarius don't have to be removed from their family's care to receive the services they need to get their lives on the positive path and reach their full potential. Thank you so much for your generous gifts and your willingness to join us at one of those levels for 5 years. These are important commitments, and they will help us sustain our programs and continue our work despite unexpected challenges like coronavirus. You can see also in the next box the option to give any amount for any number of years. Just type in your desired amount and the number of years. Thank you for doing that. Whatever you are able to give will make a huge difference for the children and families we serve. Also, your generous gift can be scheduled to be paid out according to your wishes. You can select annually, quarterly, or even bundle payments in a way that is advantageous for your tax purposes. Finally, you may have more ideas for us and another way to contribute. Just indicate that in the box. When you have finished filling out your pledge form after the event ends, just hit the submit button at the very bottom and it will be sent directly to LCFS. One of our team members will then follow up with you to confirm all the details of your pledge in the coming weeks. For those of you who want to make a one-time online donation, you can use the quick donation form on the donation web page. Let me say, there's the donation quick links. Let me say on behalf of everyone at LCFS, including the thousands of individuals we serve every day, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen today and learn more this morning. If we come together to build hope, we can change the world. We sincerely appreciate all of you. Before we wrap up, I'd like for us to take a moment in prayer for our world. Would you pray with me? Father in heaven, our world is in great need, and we pray for your mercy upon us. We pray that you would heal us from the scourge of this disease that has stricken the world. Lord, bring us help. Show us your mercy and healing. We pray, Lord, especially that this pandemic would open opportunities rather than create barriers. Lord, we thank you for the people who have shared their stories here today and how you've impacted their lives through your love and through the hands and donors and commitment of our workers at LCFS. Lord, be with our staff, our caseworkers, and all our child welfare specialists, support people, and those in leadership. Lord, use them in these times to impact the growing need among our children and families. Be with the homes where children and youth are being served through foster care and other services like regenerations. Lord, I pray that you would use your gifts and your presence there among them to heal and restore. Finally, Lord, I thank you for our donors and contributors and those who are considering offering gifts here today. Lord, as you have been generous in your abundance in our lives, so I pray that we may follow you in your steps and in turn express our generosity. Use us each as we are able to expand your kingdom and be able to bless the children and families we serve. We ask these things under the precious name of our Savior, Jesus. Amen. Now I'd like to turn our program back over to Sarah.
Thank you, Pastor, and thank you all who joined us. We encourage you to visit the page www.buildinghope.givesmart.com, as well as if you are having any difficulties when you go to make your donations, please text 312-823-6507, and someone will be in touch with you shortly to help you. Also, you can email Marilyn_Rogers@lcfs.org. Finally, thank you to all of you who joined us for our virtual Be the Change breakfast this morning. You are the important impact behind the work that we do. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and please stay safe. Thank you so much for joining us.